time for the Rider Dynasty podcast. Let's go! Welcome to the Rider Dynasty podcast with Ryan Bickerstaff, JJ Wenner, and your host, Michael Kloss.
And welcome back to the Rider Dynasty podcast. If you can believe it, JJ, we are on to week 4 already. I don't know, it's just gone by way too fast. Have you really had the time to figure out if your players are league winners yet? I'm still trying to figure it out and putting everything together. You know, it's great to be here on the podcast again as we dissect the past week. And then, of course, we look towards week 4 already. I'm your host, Michael Kloss. And thank goodness, my man JJ Wenner is here with me tonight.
No worries, my brother. I have your back. Excited to be here and ready to talk about week 3 and looking forward to week 4.
Absolutely. There is no Ryan Bickerstaff tonight as he crams for his math test. Again,
Nerd.
School always comes first, so we wish him good luck. We do have quite a show today, and actually no nicked up with our man, certified athletic trader Nick Mirabito tonight, so we'll be covering some news in his stead.
I believe he's suffering from a sports hernia.
Ooh, you know, he's just going to hate that you said that. I honestly, off the top of my head, I listened to him and he told me and I was like, okay, I'm going to remember this. I have no idea. I cannot remember if sports pubiglia. I'm not even kidding you. I cannot remember.
I believe it was sports Berbiglia, named after the comedian.
Comic. Yeah, right.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes.
Well, glad you were listening.
Well, Michael, I don't know if you know this, but unfortunately, we've had some problems in the office at Rider Dynasty.
Uh-oh.
And yeah, we're going to have to call some players into HR for some conversations about their performance. So stay tuned to see which players may be on the brink of termination.
I'm a little afraid about that, but there's some excitement as well. We're also going to talk some trades. Then it's time to attack our starts and sits of the week. And JJ, we're lucky because Ryan did submit his starts and sits so that you can still say retired from the segment. You are totally off the hook. Don't worry about it. Thank you, Ryan, for getting that in. But I will remind you that, again, we're on Twitter at Ride or Dynasty, and you can always go to our website, riderdynasty.com. But with no Nick tonight, we will skip straight to the news desk. All right, so our first main story that we'd like to cover is Saquon Barkley is out 4 to 8 weeks with a high ankle sprain. This is not good for your fantasy team, whether you're dynasty or redraft, either way. You're looking, JJ, at if you're a Barkley owner. I am in one league, and I drafted Wayne Gallman. But everything that I've kind of been hearing on Twitter, there's just really not a lot of excitement about Wayne Gallman because he's not Saquon. Is he a plug and play right into Saquon's spot, do you think?
Up until last week, I would have said no. Looking at their offense with Daniel Jones at the helm, I guess so. They look to be a little bit more wide open. We're going to talk about him in a little bit, but as long as they don't bring in somebody else, I think Wayne Gallman has to be your priority waiver wire pickup this week.
And then what percentage of your fab, if you play fab leagues, would you pay to get Gallman on your team?
I think you're going to have to pay everything you have left to get him. I think the bidding's going to go high.
Mm-hmm.
I can't bring myself. I'm very cheap. I can never spend all my fab, especially on somebody whose first name is Wayne, unless it's Wayne Newton and then Donkashane.
What's your thought on Dwayne Wade? What about Dwayne or Dwayne Bowe?
I love Dwayne. Dwayne's a great name. I actually know a young man who plays football for our middle school team who scored a 60-yard touchdown to close the game out this weekend. So Dwayne would be on my fantasy roster.
Yeah, I got about, I'd say about in the neighborhood in a couple leagues around like 75, 70 fab left, and I just can't see myself spending it unless I would drop probably about 30 or 40 bucks and then try to trade him immediately. I just don't know that he slots directly into that Saquon Barkley role. We were talking, and you even mentioned just with, Daniel Jones. He's an interesting look too, and if he might run, that apt to be able to scramble more and run, who knows? Might be tough for Wayne Gallman.
Well, I know, Michael, that during the preseason, we were discussing Daniel Jones and our ranking of him.
Right.
And you asked a very poignant question.
Ooh,
and
did I?
You did.
Are you sure you're talking about me?
You know what? It was your face on the Hangout screen, and it was you. I was shocked. But you wanted to clarify if we didn't like Daniel Jones or if we just hated Dave Gettleman. And, I think we all agreed with you that we were all pulling for Daniel Jones, that we wanted him to succeed, and that we just hated Dave Gettleman. So after his first start, how do you feel, Michael?
I will say I'm impressed, but I think that we have to take it with a grain of salt that it was against Tampa Bay, right? But you put up that many points, you lead your team, and you do pretty well. You have that comeback win. I realize that Tampa Bay missed that field goal to end the game here, but again, that's still a comeback win. I am rather impressed. I'm glad that the Giants made that move right away, kind of looking at their franchise, seeing what they needed to do, get him some more experience, and look what it did, got him that confidence especially, and now everyone's talking about him as maybe, an easy start in a super flex league, especially if he's going to run. I know running quarterbacks are at a little bit of an extra premium too in some leagues, so I was impressed. What about you, JJ?
Yeah, I thought he looked good. But it's one game, so I'm trying not to lose my mind over it. I'm happy that he did well, but I'm not necessarily going out and spending the farm on him.
Yeah, absolutely not. You just don't. I will say, I just don't feel like you luck into 336 passing yards. That's something I feel like you at least have to have some accuracy for. So,
Ryan Fitzpatrick has lucked into more than a handful of 300+ yards games.
Like, I think that I could get 300 yards passing in the NFL if I'm going to throw for 80 attempts a game. That's Ryan Fitzpatrick for you. He's not even playing anymore. Kind of keep moving to other quarterbacks. You hate to see this one. Cam Newton out again with what's, again, believed to be a Lisfranc injury. So Kyle Allen becomes a viable option in Superflex leagues. He threw 4 touchdowns. What's your impressions of this youngster?
It was against the Cardinals, so I'm kind. I can't just base something off of 1 week, especially when you're going against a bad defense. Daniel Jones against Tampa, Kyle Allen against Arizona. We're not talking about the Cowboys and Ravens defenses here. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I'm hesitant. I want to see him do it against a more consistent defense. And over a couple weeks before I'm ready to jump on the bandwagon that the Panthers are going to trade Cam Newton at some point.
Right. I would still say if it's not an upgrade, it's still the same amount of production that you're hoping for your DJ Moores, your Curtis Samuels, and then absolutely Greg Olsen. A journeyman tight end can always be a best friend of a young quarterback,
Absolutely.
especially in that quote unquote first start. So McCaffrey again is going to get his, and those other pass catchers, especially with their speed. I'm like I said, maybe not upgrading, but keeping the level of expectation set that we had coming in to what Cam could bring as well.
Yeah, I'm definitely not downgrading any of those assets at this point. I still love DJ Moore. I love Curtis Samuel, and Greg Olsen is healthy. You got to love that.
Absolutely. I'll keep moving on. And this one came across the wire, again, as we're recording this podcast here on Tuesday night, as we always do. Just about a half an hour ago, 45 minutes ago, Nick Vannett traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Vance McDonald was seen with his arm in a sling and reportedly dealing with that shoulder sprain. So if Vannett slots right into the tight end role, is that any kind of movement either way for some of like the rest of the Pittsburgh pass catchers, would you say? Does anybody's stock rise or fall with Vance McDonald maybe or possibly out of the equation here?
I wasn't a big fan of Vance McDonald coming into this season. I had him ranked pretty low among tight ends, but I don't think much of Nick Vannett either. I think the big winner out of all of this is Will Dissly. And I think it really speaks to his emergence as the leading tight end in Seattle that they felt that they could get rid of Vannett.
No, I'm with you there. Dissly has, the last 2 games with 3 touchdowns, and now he gets Arizona coming up in week 4. So I would say, yeah, definitely fire up your Will Disley's. That was one of those, with him coming off the injury too, this offseason that I think people were buying low on him and kind of expecting maybe a little bit of hype, but he's exceeded his expectations so far.
Absolutely. And the thing about Will Dissly is, I think we mentioned it before, that he is incredibly young for a tight end. I believe he's only 23. And most tight ends usually come out at a more advanced age than, a running back or a wide receiver. But he's very young and showing some promise. So I still think he has some room for growth.
Mm-hmm. I guess the last bit of news is almost kind of a reminder. If you're, you've got those deep dynasty leagues, if you've been stashing Golden Tate, now is the time possibly. Are you keeping now? Kind of, we've been talking heavy giants in the news segment. Are you keeping? Are you trying to float trade offers there? There's no way he's on the waiver wire. Again, we're not talking redraft. We're looking at it from a dynasty perspective here, because it very well could be on a waiver wire on redraft. But are you floating any trade offers to try to get a piece of Golden Tate, or if you were an owner, would you be keeping him at this point in time?
I mean, I wouldn't trade Golden Tate away. I don't think his value that you're going to get in a trade is greater than what I think he's going to produce this year. Mm-hmm. I would definitely put some feelers out. He will be the best wide receiver on that team. And if Daniel Jones continues to perform at that level, I think Golden Tate can be a definite wide receiver too in Dynasty. Another guy to keep an eye on is Chris Herndon. With the Jets on a bye this week, he still has one more game to sit out, but he'll be back week 6. Test out some owners. Maybe they're tired of racking up the zeros and not seeing anything being, under his name. Maybe you can get a little bit of a discount. Herndon was really clicking with Sam Darnold, who's going to come back around the same time, and hopefully something will click for that Jets offense.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea either. All right, well, that's going to do it for the news. JJ, I'm struggling here, but we really don't like to do this, and we really just don't want to be bad guys, but it's time to call a few players into human resources. So could you break it down for us? Tell the listeners what's going on here.
Michael, I am no stranger to being called down to HR
Yes.
or my boss's office for an official conversation on the record. In sales, when you don't hit your numbers, you often get put onto a performance improvement plan, also known as a PIP, as
Right.
it's known. As the CEOs of Ryder Dynasty, you and I, and our missing Ryan, it's time to put some players on a PIP and
boy.
hopefully get them back on track. I mean, we just want to help them succeed. But I'm going to let you go first, Michael. Who are you calling over the loudspeaker to come down to our Dynasty HR office?
Okay, and I'm going to call Jarvis Landry into Dynasty HR. Now, Jarvis, it's really time we just had a talk. I'm really bringing you in here because I care, and if I didn't care, then we wouldn't even be wasting our time here. I've always been impressed with your reception totals, especially when you're in Miami, and I'm a huge fan of what can I say? What should your inspirational speeches, right? You're fantastic at those. However, we've just seen your work dip a bit now. I'm gonna say I do understand that your best friend has joined the organization. And that's fantastic. We love having Odell work in this organization, but we've seen this too many times, right, JJ? I trust that we don't have to separate the two of you, Jarvis
I mean,
and Odell.
speaking for Jarvis, no, I think we're getting along great. And I think we're just ironing out some kinks, but we're going to perform soon, I promise.
Okay, well, I can understand that, and a promise is a promise here because there was a lot of off-season talk, about you. As a matter of fact, the reason why I have JJ here in the office with me to talk to you is because I had some high hopes, but JJ also saw this coming. I ranked you 25th in the offseason in Dynasty wide receivers. It's time to really look at some hardships here. JJ, where did you have him ranked?
I had him all the way down at 46.
Okay, Jarvis. So, you've seen 23 targets. I love that. You've only caught 10 of them. Now, while sometimes that's not always your fault, here is the plan that I'm going to set out for you, your performance improvement plan, since I know really everything's not your fault, right? So I'm going to need, at first, another pregame speech. I just want to hear you get more emotional, right? Do you really enjoy every network, every podcast talking about OBJ and he's just the one-handed wonder showing all that video? Second, we're going to go talk to Baker as well, okay? And I know and I saw that you were wide open on that slant underneath against the Rams. You know it. I know it. We've all seen the play. I'm saying get vocal. Get open. The squeaky wheel gets the grease here. You've got a couple of interesting defensive matchups in Baltimore and San Francisco and Seattle before your upcoming league-mandated PTO. So I would like to see a little bit of improvement before then. What do you say? All right, get out there, kid. Whew.
Man, I think Landry's going to listen to you. I'm not going to lie. That motivated me like no other PIP speech I've received. But I'm going to call down Robbie Anderson. I'm going to call Robbie Anderson to the HR office. And Robbie, I just want to start by letting you know how sorry we are about the quarterback situation. There has been some turnover due to circumstances outside of our control. However, your performance through the first 3 weeks of the season has been unsatisfactory. We brought you in as the 31st ranked wide receiver in Dynasty, and you are currently performing as the 73rd ranked wide receiver. So you're currently beneath both Benny Fowler and Isaiah McKenzie. This performance is unacceptable.
So if you could kind of outline maybe what are the 3 steps to Robbie's PIP.
All right, step 1. We got to get Sam Darnold back on the field for you. I understand. Going from Darnold to Simeon to Falk has been less than ideal for your performance. So, step 1, we'll get Darnold back in the next 2 weeks. Number 2, we have to get you back to double digits in air yards per attempt, per target. After having an okay game against the Pats 2 weeks ago, your air yards dropped from 15.8 per target to 5.6 with Luke Falk.
Ooh.
Now, you're a deep threat, right? Baby's got to fly.
Yeah.
You got wings. We got to let you go, baby. So we're going to work on that. Now, step 3, I know this one probably isn't going to happen, but the Jets need to fire Adam Gase and Greg Williams. This offense has shown zero growth. You're not to blame, Robbie. And there are no signs of potential. Gase is not a good coach. He has lost his last 6 games and hasn't scored 20 points in any of them. To quote a movie I was just watching, it's over, Johnny.
That's some real talk right there. And I think that he was pretty receptive since, he really understood on that 3rd point that maybe it just might not all be his fault. All right, let me check my pad here. Hold on. I am looking for Devonta Freeman. Devonta, can you join me in the conference room? Well, sorry, he's a little bit slow. Hold on.
Oh, that's cold.
Oh, all right, Devonta. So, not a bad week 3 performance against Indy. You totaled 95 total yards, 16 rushes, 88 yards. They added the 3 more catches for the 7 yards. But I want to see more. I know what you can do. I've watched you become a real leader in the locker room, and I've even seen it out on the field here. I know that you've had some concussion problems, but I just don't feel like you're just being utilized the way you should be in the Falcons offense. And, that's some of you, and that's also some of, your head coach, Dan Quinn. Now, the offensive line, you need to go and shake all their hands or take them out to a nice dinner just to remind them that you're a leader here, okay? You're a stone-cold manager. That offensive line opened up great holes for you, and Dan Quinn needs to know this. Dan, are you available too? Thank goodness he is. So, Dan, I've got one simple thing to say to you, and I wanted to make sure that you were in here while Devontae was in here because I want him to understand that him coming into this office, I'm not going to give him a pip right now, but I'm going to look at you and say, give him the ball. Coach up the offensive line. Trust your run blocking here and understand that you have a true leader, a bell cow runner. I like Ito Smith. I think he's a great change of pace back. But Freeman is the show, and the curtains are coming up right now. So, keep it going, establish your run game, and then you've got 2 fantastic receivers and a good tight end to mix it up in the game plan. But you start with running the ball at Devonta, and he will speed up. Look at him go. Look, he's already back to work. Fantastic. I didn't have to hand out a pip there. JJ, it's that worked out pretty well. So why don't you go ahead and do your business too?
For my last call down to the HR office, and I hate doing this. It hurts me just as much as it hurts the employee. But can Naheem Hines come down to the conference room? Naheem, I think you know why you are here. Now, I wasn't the one who made the decision to hire you. In the preseason, when my co-founders each ranked you at 35, I was at 55. But still, you are currently ranked 67th in PPR, which is below even my paltry ranking. But you've only posted 60 yards of offense with 0 TDs. Now, last year you put up a respectable 779 yards and 4 TDs of total offense. And I think you can see where we are going with this, but we are putting you on the PIP. And here are your two easy steps to avoiding termination. One, you're going to need to increase your efficiency. Your yards per attempt and your yards per target are both down from last year. I think you know this. I think you're not necessarily putting in the effort you did last year. But you're going to have to crank that up in order to exceed your numbers. Now, number 2, you need to stop blaming your former coworkers for current performance. Now, I know Andrew Luck is no longer here, but he's not coming back. You need to embrace Brissett and work with him to solve this issue you're having with your numbers. All right? I hope we can resolve this. We're going to have you back in 2 weeks, and we're going to discuss this again. And hopefully we see some improvement, and we can just put this all behind us. Thanks, Naeem.
You're lucky, Naeem. I would have let you go last week, but JJ's got the faith.
Barely.
I mean, we said we hated doing that, but, sometimes it's necessary.
Man, I've been on the wrong end of so many of those conversations.
I want to say that I haven't, but I definitely have. And they're just so hard to take, but sometimes they're a wake-up call, and hopefully that's what they are.
Do you know, Michael, shockingly, some people think I have a bit of an attitude with
a great
authority.
Attitude. A great attitude. I mean, come on. No way.
Man, have I gotten into trouble.
Well, I mean, we could keep discussing our poor performances at work, or we could get into a little bit of trades. I want to have some fun, and I think we need to get back a little bit into the positive here. So when we start talking trades, we're going to break down a few trades that we've seen across the internet, and we'd like to see if we would take one side or the other. So would you like to introduce the first trade, JJ?
Absolutely. So side A in our first trade, it was Stephon Diggs for Terry McLaurin and a late 2020 first. Michael, where do you fall on this?
Again, one of the reasons why we grabbed this one is because everybody is down on Stephon Diggs, okay? And then everyone's really super high after 3 great weeks of Terry McLaurin, right? McLaurin, as I got a chance to kind of read a little bit of news on him, he was the first wide receiver in NFL history with at least 5 receptions and a touchdown in each of his first 3 games. I'm going to expect that actually that goes up with his connection with Dwayne Haskins. Looking at some of the late 2020 first, it's a great class. But I think, call me crazy, I'm going to stick with Stephon Diggs at this point in the season. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I'm comfortable holding out to see if I can get more of a value and move him in the offseason. Right now, trading Stephon Diggs at his lowest, I think would be, I don't want to say fairly silly, but I'd want to see if I can maximize my return. And I'm willing to take a little bit more of a hit. But again, as the offseason happens, at least in my experience, people get more excited to start trading draft picks, or at least once where people are trying to figure out if they're contending, if they're going to make the playoffs. So I'm going to say I'm going to go with side A right now and not buy Terry McLaurin at what could possibly be a high ceiling. How about yourself?
I guess my question for you, yes or no, Michael? Would you trade a random 2020 first for Terry McLaurin right now?
When you say random, like it literally could be 1 through
12.
would I trade a random 2020 first for Terry McLaurin? Yes.
So you're saying you wouldn't trade then Stephon Diggs for 2 first-round picks in 2020?
Man, I had it explained just the way I wanted it, and now you're screwing that up. Man, to get 2 first-round picks for Stephon Diggs, I guess it really depended where I was. Now you've got me turning it around. I would.
Okay.
You're twisting me around here, but yes,
All right.
I would.
Okay. I'll just give you a couple either ors.
Okay, go ahead.
Stephon Diggs or Marquise Brown.
Stephon Diggs.
Amari Cooper.
Ooh, Amari Cooper.
Adam Thielen.
Stephon Diggs.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah.
So those, all 3 of those, you ranked below Stephon Diggs in the preseason. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go on to the next trade.
Okay. Side A is Rams wide receiver Brandon Cooks. Side B is Tyler Lockett and a 2020 second, not specified early, mid, or late.
Random. All right.
Yes.
I would take side B. I would take Tyler Lockett and a 2020 second. I'd be hard pressed not to take Tyler Lockett straight up for Brandon Cooks right now, based on the first 3 games of this season and all last season. Tyler Lockett he's been playing like a stud with Russell Wilson. They have a connection. Wilson is still young enough. Lockett's still young enough. They could have 3 or 4 more great years together. So I'm definitely going with B. Michael?
I'm a little concerned about Jared Goff. I don't know if you saw it was like a tweet series. I can't place who put it out there, but again, it was reported that he's having trouble reading defenses, and one of the reasons that the Patriots were able to dissect him so well in the Super Bowl is because when they had the mandated 15-second cutoff in the helmets, Goff would get the defenses, and Belichick would switch the defenses up on him, and he could not read that. So kind of knowing that a little bit, and only, again, reading that this year, I am pivoting away from Jared Goff and Rams receivers. I think that you're still going to score. I'm just not as optimistic as I was coming into the season of maybe, they had a tough Super Bowl, but now it actually, again, might be an issue. These are things that I see tweeted and read about it. So I should definitely say you should go out and look for some of that material if you're feeling the same thing.
So Brandon Cooks or Kenny Golladay?
I came into this season saying Brandon Cooks, right? If I pull up rankings here, I think I'd switch it up to Kenny Golladay.
Tyler Boyd.
I think I would still go Brandon Cooks there.
Calvin Ridley.
I'd still go Brandon Cooks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so how about let's jump into the next trade. Let's talk a super flex league, okay?
Uh-oh.
These can get kind of crazy, and now you're thinking where your quarterbacks are valued, okay? So this is going to be maybe a little bit of a big one. On side A, you've got Chris Carson, Aaron Rodgers, a 2021 mid first, and another 2021 mid first. Okay. Or Alvin Kamara and Jimmy Garoppolo. So 2 2021 firsts plus Rodgers and Chris Carson for Alvin Kamara and Jimmy Garoppolo.
All right, so the only way to tackle these is to break it up into pieces. So basically you're saying Rodgers for Garoppolo
Yes.
in a super flex league.
Mm-hmm.
I would take Garoppolo.
That makes sense. Yeah.
In a long-term situation. But, I mean, I could go either way on that based on Garoppolo's latest appearances. So then you have Chris Carson and 2 mid-round 2021 firsts
Right.
for Alvin Kamara. And I would not make that trade.
I think I'm with you.
I mean, if it was 2020s, yeah, I know a lot of the guys who are coming out in that draft, and I think I could find somebody who could possibly replace Kamara or maybe 80% and a good wide receiver. But I don't know if I can replace Kamara and Garoppolo with that. So I'm going B, Kamara and Garoppolo. You?
Yeah, I would do the same thing. And again, if I'm trying to put a package for Kamara, I would definitely be, shoving in some picks there, obviously. But I don't know that some of the older quarterback or maybe a running back that if you continue to have fumbling problems, you might not be seeing the field, is enough to do that. But again, quarterbacks play till they're 42 now, so Aaron Rodgers might have 6 more years, but who knows? So yeah, we're going to go with side B, Alvin Kamara and Jimmy Garoppolo.
All right. So our last trade, Michael. Side A is Leonard Fournette. Side B is Devin Singletary and a 2020 second.
We did a mock draft really early in the season, and I had Devin Singletary in the second round of that mock draft just based on, the makeup of the Bills. You had a great call with saying that LaShawn McCoy was going to be cut, not guessing he was going to be cut. You said it, and look what happens. All of a sudden, Devin Singletary comes right up, and, he's proving rather elusive when healthy. I feel like I could get more. Like, first of all, let me say I would take Devin Singletary in a 2020 second, but I also feel like if I was a Fournette owner, I would try to ask for more. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But
that makes sense.
I would just be at the stage where I think I would be able to settle for a Devin Singletary in a 2020 second and then just push for a little bit more.
All right. So now, based on your preseason rankings,
Okay.
would you take Fournette or Rashad Penny right now?
Fournette.
Fournette or Phillip Lindsay?
Oh, I hate Phillip Lindsay.
You do?
Gosh, that's such a great question too. Wow, I'm killing the airspace here. Fournette.
Okay. Well, I went with, Fournette or somebody who you hated. So what about Fournette or Damian Williams?
Oh my. Let's just shut this off right now. We're finished here.
Let's get it on.
Fournette.
What?
Excuse me.
Did you just take Fournette over Damian Williams?
I mean, gosh, JJ, I love him. I've told you, but I can't trust him. I don't own him anywhere. I've always told you, I've felt like preaching to the choir, and then I'm never able to actually corral him because he might be gone next year. If he's not on the Chiefs offense, scares me. So I would own him in redraft, not Dynasty.
Well, I think that's a great way to end this segment. Wow, that's the harsh betrayal by Michael on Damian Williams.
It's actually been a couple times that I've betrayed that guy. I think at some point he can't be my boy anymore.
If you deny him 3 times.
Okay, so that's at least 2.
Yeah, it's at least 2.
All
right. So before we sign off, let's get to all of some actionable fantasy advice you can use right now. We actually have Ryan's picks for start sit. Michael's going to give his. I'm going to try to give Ryan's as Ryan would give his in his classic delivery. But we're not going to try to name the obvious. We're not saying start Mahomes. But this is about confidence and lets you know where our conviction lies. And as a reminder, if you're starting any New York Jet this week, they're on bye. So you won't be able to tell that they're on a bye because they're putting up the same amount of points they do when they're not on a bye. But also the 49ers are on a bye. So QB starts. Michael, who do you got?
Okay, you're going to make fun of me, and that's okay because we said not obvious. But again, you're starting Phillip Rivers. He's the easy call. Chargers get Miami. I like this spot because we've seen the way that Eckler operates with Phillip Rivers out of the backfield. So I think really there is a lot more potential for passing touchdowns. I promise I won't choose the starting quarterback who plays the Dolphins every week, but this one just makes sense. And Mike Williams is back. Keenan Allen is having 1 million targets a game. This is the start that you need to do. Phillip Rivers.
All right, Mike Williams is garbage. Ryan's pick is Daniel Jones versus Washington Redskins because never has there been a bandwagon that Ryan doesn't like to jump on. Seems like I'm swinging for the fences, he says, but Jones had a massive debut against Washington. Against Tampa, and Washington has been lit up by every QB that's faced them so far. QB sits. Who are you sitting, Michael?
Okay, I'm going to sit Baker Mayfield.
What?
I was watching the Rams pass rush, and it was apparent to me, especially in that fourth quarter, that just Baker has this crazy tendency to run backwards, throw off his back foot, especially when he's in the red zone. Again, improviser, gunslinger, whatever you want to call him. Baltimore is a bad matchup for Mayfield, and I think that defense is itching to rebound after Mahomes just spanked them right there. So I'm going to say sit Baker Mayfield this week.
It's almost like Baker is trying to force targets to somebody. I wonder who said that would happen. Anyway, so Ryan is sitting. Ooh. This is a courageous decision. Jameis Winston versus the Los Angeles Rams. LA's defense has shut down every QB they have come across, and the inconsistent Winston won't be the one to break the code, even if he's coming off an impressive Week 3 performance. I absolutely agree, Ryan. Winston is garbage against the Rams. You know what? I'm going to lead off running back starts.
Please do.
Actually, I meaning Ryan.
Okay.
I'm picking Marlon Mack versus the Oakland Raiders. I just have a good feeling about this matchup Mack is on. Oh no, I just Christopher Walken'd that.
We're reading Ryan's submission, and you just completely. You know what periods are for, Mr. Teacher?
Oh my word! I've had such an issue this week with kids and punctuation, but. Whatever. I guess It's catchy. I just have a good feeling about this matchup, period. Mack is on pace for over 1,700 yards from scrimmage and 10 touchdowns.
Which is insane.
Ryan loves to say on pace.
Yeah.
This week, he gets Oakland, who just got absolutely lit up by Dalvin Cook and Alexander Madison. Last week to the tune of 168 and 2 TDs on the ground. Indy will ride Mack to victory in this one.
I'm not sure if next show I'm going to want you to read these while Ryan is here, or if I want Ryan to read them like you read it for him. Something like it's just great production value, I think. All right. I'm going to start Chris Carson, and you might be saying, hey, what's the deal? Chris Carson.
Hey, what's the deal?
Oh, like on cue. You're upset he fumbled a couple times, 3 times in the last 2 games, but Christian McCaffrey just gashed the Cardinals for 153 yards. You know Kyle Allen threw those 4 touchdown passes. I don't see really Arizona leading this game, so I would say Carson is locked and loaded, even more so if Penny is still having issues with the injury that he sustained during a walkthrough, by the way. A walkthrough. How about you continue with the running back sits for Ryan?
Sony Michel versus Buffalo Bills. Even though Buffalo has actually been a solid matchup for lead backs through 3 weeks, Michel is averaging a whopping 2.4 yards per carry so far in 2019 and has not been involved in the passing game whatsoever. And in his only decent fantasy game of the year against the Dolphins, he lost a fumble. I'm not confident in Michel this week, especially since he isn't New England's only option in the backfield. Michael?
Decent sit right there. I am benching Todd Gurley this week. I would say I don't think there's something up with him, right? You know, that we've all talked about this entire offseason, and now after week 3, at least what we can expect. 14 rushes last week, and that was not against a good run defense. Now he's going against Tampa Bay, who shut down opponents, only giving up 68 yards per game to opposing rushers. No thanks. No Todd Gurley.
Now, without looking at the stats,
okay,
is that they're only giving up 68 yards per game to opposing rushers because they're giving up 400 yards passing?
I mean, maybe, but would you start him in that situation?
Man, once again, I am the worst coach in the world. I'm a good fantasy and dynasty GM. I can build you a great team. Mm-hmm. Don't ask me who I'm starting. Give me best ball. You guys are on your own here.
It's really tough. Like, again, where you drafted Todd Gurley, most likely, the second to the 4th round, you're guessing, right? That you want to fire him up, but I just don't think that this is a good matchup. And again, I could easily run it back and say, sit Matt Breida this week. Ha ha ha, he's on a bye. But I'm going for it this time. So Todd Gurley is my running back sit. As far as wide receivers, let's get into those. My start is Sterling Shepard. Speaking of bandwagon, I'll join it. Giants have that new life with Daniel Mother Bleepin' Dimes, and Sterling Shepard had a team-high 9 targets on Sunday. I would say whether or not Saquon is out, which we know he is out, I would say Shep against a Redskins D that's just giving it up to the wide receivers this year. If Mitch Trubisky is going to, dissect that defense, I think Daniel Jones won't have much of an issue, and Sterling Shepard is a good start this week. What's Ryan doing? All right.
Ryan's going bandwagon jumping with Scary Terry McLaurin versus the New York Giants. So if there's anything that's destined to end his streak, it's Ryan picking him. There was an interesting stat shared during the Chicago-Washington Monday night game that there has only ever been one receiver to ever start the career with 3 straight games with 5+ receptions. End of score. That receiver is the 3rd-round rookie from Ohio State. Ohio State. Terry McLaurin.
I totally sniped that stat earlier in the podcast, Ryan. Way to pay attention.
Wow, Ryan. You stink.
Gosh.
This is a good matchup to keep such a streak going. My wide receiver sit is Stephon Diggs versus the Chicago Bears. Minnesota's passing game has been an error code 404. I don't know what that means. Through the first 3 games.
Not a technology guy.
Found. Oh, my word. Not found. Ryan, you are goddamn witty. Diggs has
such a good writer. I'm not even joking.
He could never have pulled that off if he was reading it.
You gotta give him a little faith there. Gotta give him a little faith. I think he was good.
Man,
that was done it.
That was good, Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
Diggs has been particularly forgotten,
dude,
as the only
dude.
Sit Stephon Diggs. Michael, you're up.
You're just like no more.
No mas. I'm tapping out.
I'm going to sit Emmanuel Sanders. The Broncos are a dumpster fire. Flacco looks lost. The whole team is not playing to their potential. There is no inspiration. You're thinking
there's no what?
Inspiration was what I definitely said the first time. Get Emmanuel Sanders out of your lineups.
Yeah, all right. So who are you starting at tight end?
Remember we talked about Arizona? Every single tight end that has faced Arizona has absolutely killed them. That was Hawkinson week 1, Andrews week 2. Olsen week 3, and now it will be Will Disley in week 4, keeping up that trend. Fire him up.
Well, Ryan is going with Greg Olsen versus the Houston Texans. Keep rolling with
he did it.
third leg Greg.
Third
who
leg
has
Greg.
regained his pre-injury form from 2014 to 2016. The young backup QB Kyle Allen will continue to rely on the wily vet.
Well done,
Now,
Ryan.
Ryan's tight end sit is TJ Hawkinson versus the Kansas City Chiefs, and we know how Ryan loves his Lions. Casey has not been a friendly matchup for tight ends through 3 weeks. Darren Waller had a decent game week 2, but then they shut down Mark Andrews to the tune of 3 receptions for 15 yards last week. Not loving the rookie's chances this weekend. Michael?
All right, so this week I'm going to switch gears just a little bit, okay? I could recommend literally any bad tight end to sit and just walk away with my victory, right? But
Break the wrist, walk away.
Yeah, looking at the top projected tight ends of this week, right? Kelsey, Ertz, Ingram, Andrews, Waller, maybe Hawkinson, Walker, Hooper, Howard, and then Olsen. I want to sit one of those guys. Again, Ryan went for it too with Hawkinson. I'm going to go with O.J. Howard again this year. The Rams, guard the tight end fairly well. They are the 8th best. So I can't see him getting the volume with all the other receivers, and I know how we weren't a huge fan of Winston this week either, and Ryan wasn't. So let's say O.J. Howard.
So before we sign off, what the hell's going on with O.J. Howard? So I know we had been talking about how Bruce Arians doesn't love the tight end position. What are you thinking with O.J. Howard, man? I mean, he's currently ranked number 27 behind my favorite Jack Doyle.
Yeah.
With, 14.8 points through 3 games in PPR?
Yeah, not in dynasty leagues. There's no way you can bail. And there's no way that anybody wants him unless they're really hurting at tight end. For instance, so in one of my dynasty leagues, I won a championship literally with Eric Ebron and nobody else. I think I just picked a crappy waiver wire just off of in his bye week and just put him in, got no points. It didn't matter just because I won the league there. Now with Eric Ebron, I am solely hurting for tight end. I would definitely take a chance on O.J. Howard and buy low on him. So somebody out there wants him.
It's not me, man. I do not like O.J. Howard. He's an Alabama guy, right?
He is.
Yeah, I know because Ryan loves him, but I am not a fan of O.J. Howard's game. I think he's a very good tight end, but I don't know. I do not have him on any rosters. I'm not drafting him. I don't know. I don't know if it's just where I draft that he never falls to me. But the same thing with like Saquon. Like I'm never picking first. I'm not lucky enough in redrafts, and I'm not bad enough in dynasties to get somebody like Saquon. But
I kind of subscribe to, even in dynasty or redraft, if I'm not getting a perceived top 3. And again, I kind of thought Evan Ingram was at least in the top 4, and Ryan had O.J. Howard up there. So like, if I'm not really seeing an avenue to success of a top 3, a top 4, I'm kind of booting the category and just going to try to piece it and stream it, even in dynasty. I said I was drafting Josh Oliver everywhere this past off season just because I kind of liked the potential, but I just kind of booted the category. So I'm never really going to really just jump at like a middle tier, tight end. I would much rather just try to go for somebody that I know can give me production, even if it's like a Greg Olsen.
Yeah, I picked up a bunch of Delaney Walker because for the same reason I punted. I wanted nothing to do with the top tight ends, but it's paid off so far. Let's see what happens the rest of the year. All
right, JJ, that's how you kill about a 45-hour show here. We are just going to say good night here. Remember, you can get all of our content at riderdynasty.com. We're also available on Twitter. Keep sending us your DMs. Keep putting us in your Twitter polls. We'll do our best to respond. Again, at Rider Dynasty. So we'll catch you with all the latest news. Hopefully we get a full complement of the team back. But it was fun, buddy. Had an awesome time with you tonight.
Oh, man, this was always fun riding and dying with you, buddy.
All right. Well, we will say goodnight, and we'll catch you next week.
Catch you on the flip side. Boat drinks.
Holla.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the Ride or Dynasty podcast. If you have enjoyed the pod, please subscribe and leave us a rating and review on iTunes. Follow the guys on Twitter at Ride or Dynasty. You can follow JJ at JJ Wenner. Ryan is at BixPixFFB. And Michael is at Michael S. Kloss. Check out our website, rideordynasty.com. And remember, we have your back.
Your reputation far exceeds your skills, Mammy Rammer.